Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing well. Happy Wednesday. This video is totally and utterly inspired by this mug. I bought this mug a few weeks ago from, it was either TKMaxx or Homesense. It was one of their stores. Yeah, I bought a few. I can't kind of remember which store it was from, but they're both the same. They sell the same things. And I absolutely love this mug. It's my favorite. So I jumped onto the Cricut design space, found the skull that I wanted, and I cut a few out. Now I cut some small ones out for the coasters to go in the middle of each coaster, and I cut out a couple of large ones because I was planning on doing a lot more things, like bigger trays and bigger things, but decided to just keep it simple. I'm going with a smaller round tray. These molds are from Molds and Shapes. We've got the small round tray on the left and the round coasters on the right. And yeah, at this point, I really did want the skulls a lot smaller. I wanted a small skull in the middle of these things, but the teeth were giving me problems, guys. I am glad I went with this size to begin with because I could not weed out the end teeth on those smaller skulls. So if anyone's got any tips, let me know. I am going for pure white. I figured the white against the black contrast will just make it look, it will give it that classical, simple, minimalistic design that I had in my head. And you can use up to 2% Jesmonite pigment in your Jesmonite. To get a white or a black, you do need to use the full 2% allowance to get those solid block colours. But honestly, I eyeball it. Now, you'll see here I'm using a little sieve. I've started doing this, you know, sometimes when I've got the energy. I'm actually pouring my Jesmonite mixture through this sieve. This is going to stop any powder clumps because as much as you sometimes whisk, you sometimes do get lumps in there. You get little powder lumps that aren't quite fully mixed, similar to when you're baking and, you know, making your Yorkshire pudding batter. But I am pouring the first initial pour through my sieve because when we flip it out, I'm going for the crispiest, cleanest, neatest, most smooth surface you can possibly get. See, if I don't do this, sometimes I'll get little grey marks or little brown splodgy marks, and that is purely because I didn't mix the Jesmonite thoroughly and I poured it straight into the mold. So to avoid any kind of blemishes on the surface of your Jesmonite when you're doing white, especially when you're doing pure white, I would thoroughly recommend pouring it through a sieve first. So here you see I've just got a base layer down. These are not full. This base layer has been sieved. So I know that I am going to get the most cleanest results. The best thing about this project is when you're using a one block color, you can afford to really whack the molds. So when we use Jesmonite, we tap, we shimmy, we shake, we tap the molds to get all the air pockets out. But when it's just one color, you really have the luxury of bashing them around. You really do. You can really go to town on the bashing and the flipping and the all of that to get all the air bubbles out because it's just one color and we don't have to worry about patterns being destroyed or any piped designs coming away from the surface of your molds. So yeah, that's one thing I like about using a block color. And now I'm just filling up these molds with the remainder of the Jesmonite, and I'm not worried about sieving this because it won't sink to the bottom. Jesmonite is a really dense material. It won't sink to the bottom. So if there are any lumps of powder in there, they will not be seen on the finished surface. Then I give them another bit of a shimmy and a shake, and then I leave them for 30 minutes. So this is 30 minutes later, time to demold. We demold after 30 minutes to avoid any sweat lines appearing. Oh my goodness, this is probably the cleanest, most smoothest, crispest, why do I keep saying that? Crispiest surface I've ever got with Jesmonite. It is about as clear and clean as I could have possibly wanted it. It was perfect for the contrast between the black skulls. And yeah, I was really happy at this point. I was also quite cold, so I am fleeced up. I've got my fleece on because it was a bit chilly this day. So yeah, that is it. They look absolutely perfect. The one thing to do is just run my hands around those edges, getting off any really small overspills. It's really not, it wasn't much to be honest. And then I go around all of the edges with a nail file. I sand my Jesmonite immediately after demold. The advice obviously from Jesmonite HQ is that you wait 24 hours. I find that a lot harder because Jesmonite is as tough as it's going to be. After 24 hours, Jesmonite is as tough as it is ever going to be, and it's a lot harder to sand. So I like to sand immediately after demold, but you do need to be very careful because immediately after demold is when Jesmonite is at its weakest point. So if you're new to Jesmonite, just go easy. Don't go in hard. Don't go in hard with the sanding. Okay, this is 24 hours later. So before applying any vinyl or sealing your Jesmonite, you really should wait the 24-hour period. This is to ensure that any moisture left in that Jesmonite has had a chance to come out, and you know that your vinyl is going to stick and that your sealer is going to do its job instead of trapping moisture inside the piece. And I am obsessed. I am totally obsessed. I did think for us, I want to say for about 5 seconds, I had the thought of just putting a tiny skull in the middle of this, but I just didn't feel like it was going to be enough. So I did put the larger skull on the trivet. So that larger tray I'm going to be using as a trivet. You know, you can put your teapot on there or your pots and pans. Will I use it for pots and pans? Probably not. Teapot? Yes, absolutely. And then it was just a case of transferring all of my skulls onto the center of these coasters. Now, these skulls were a bit tricky because you can see there's lots of details. There's lots of fine individual little lines and strokes, and getting them to come off when I transferred, I had to go back a few times, rub it again, try again, go back, rub it again, because a lot of those little lines kept getting stuck on the transfer tape. And some of the teeth on the smaller skulls, you can see the outer teeth, I had problems weeding. So some of them are still in there. I could not get them out. I don't know if it's my eyesight failing. I used the pen that I have, and I also used my Cricut weeding tool, and I found it almost impossible. I do need magnifying equipment maybe, because if anyone's got any tips on how to weed the tiniest of spaces, you can see here the outer teeth are still in. So that is one little thing that I wish wasn't there, but I don't think it takes away from the overall piece. So here we have a whole set. So we have the trivet and we have a set of 4 coasters. I absolutely love them. Now, I did decide not to finish them completely on camera. I've done it in many videos. I will be sealing these with the Jesmonite acrylic sealer, 2 coats, and I will also be giving them a cork, self-adhesive cork backing. At the moment, I am completely out of that, so I do need to order some to get these finished off. But if you want to know more about sealing and how I seal, I do have videos on them. But yeah, I absolutely love them. My actual dream of this project was much smaller skulls, but like I say, I'm glad I didn't try, because there's no way I would have been able to weed the teeth on a skull any smaller than this, because I struggled with this size, and these are about 2 inches. No, I'd say about 1.5 inches high, these skulls. But yeah, really, really love it. I got the exact finish and the exact look I was going for. And yeah, I don't know what else to say except I'm buzzing. I absolutely love them. I think these would look incredible using black Jesmonite and white vinyl as well. They would look just as classic, just as clean, and just as crisp, and just yummy in the absolute opposite colours as well. So yeah, I was thinking about doing that all in one video, but it's a lot. Do you know what I mean? Especially as this stuff is just building up on my shelves. I really need to get to selling. Well, I hope you feel inspired by this video as much as I did feel inspired by my mug. That mug is my favourite. I've got a cup of tea as we speak in that mug. I appreciate you all so much. If you are still here and you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Thumbs ups are really the only way for someone like myself or anyone on YouTube to grow. It lets YouTube know that people like this video, therefore they will push your video out into the stratosphere and into the universe for other people to see. So the fewer thumbs up that I get, the fewer views overall I will get from people discovering my channel, because YouTube won't push it out. So that thumbs up really does mean so much. And if you are still here and you've not yet subscribed, please go ahead and hit that button. It is free. But please know that I appreciate you all so much. And if you're here in the live chat, guys, I appreciate you so much for being here. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, you are all here in the chat and we have so much fun. So I just want a massive shout out to you guys as well that literally join me for every single live chat. I appreciate you more than you know, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.